Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Rail Chief here, and welcome back to another review video here on my channel. As always, my name is Mike, and we have another great show for you all today. Now, in today's review video, I'm going to be reviewing a couple of items that are kind of on the old side. But like the old saying goes, anything that's old in the past, becomes brand new again for years to come. So let's not waste any more time and get on with the show. Now, as you see in today's video here, we're going to be taking a look at all of the F3s that I have here in my collection, including the ones from the post-war era and the modern era, including the Santa Fe, New York Central, Texas Special, Southern Pacific, and Pennsylvania. Each engine here, including the one next to it, has a slight modification than the other one does, and we're going to be taking a look at those differences in today's video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the show. Okay, so starting off with our first engine here, I have the grandfather of all Lionel F3 units, and this is the war bonnet paint scheme of the Santa Fe. The original Santa Fe F3 was introduced in 1948. However, the version that I have here on the table is the one that was made in 1955 through 1957. 1955 was also the year that Lionel was trying to cut costs on some of its items, including not only the F3, but the steam locomotives, the bell-ringing switchers, and the NW2 diesel switchers as well. So the 2243 might not be as detailed like the 2333 is, but it does have some nice features nonetheless. And some of the changes that I want to point out here are that the trucks on the bottom of the locomotive are black instead of silver. The porthole plugs have also been filled in. And if we look at the roof here, we can see that the screen vents on the top have been changed to molded in plastic vents. Now down here at the bottom of the locomotive, we can see that this engine is a single motored F3 unit with magnet traction, and it also does feature a horn as well. This Santa Fe locomotive was featured in the set also known as the 1535W from 1955. The cars that were featured in the set included the green New York Central gondola with 6 barrels, the black Norfolk and Western hopper with white lettering, the rare Baltimore and Ohio double-door boxcar in the Tuscan brown color, and the red caboose to go with it. Our next locomotive here on the list is another very popular F3 unit, which was also introduced back in 1948, just like the Santa Fe was, and this of course is the 2344 New York Central F3 unit. Now the New York Centrals have been made through 1948 through 1955 by Lionel. However, the version that I have here in my collection is the Conventional Classics remake, which was made around somewhere between 2010 and 2011. Now when I bought this engine at my local antique shop, they only had the A unit as you see here. They didn't have the dummy unit that goes with this engine, they didn't have the rest of the set, and they didn't have the box to go with this either. They only had the A unit, like I said before. But like the old saying goes, less is more, and I figured you can't really have the Santa Fe and just not have the New York Central. So I was really happy to have this nonetheless. So I'm not going to get into too much detail in regards to this locomotive here, because I already did a review on it not too long ago on my channel here. So as always, in case you guys want to go check out the review on the 2344, I'll make sure to leave a link down in the description box. But I will say that the quality of this engine is absolutely amazing. It's built just as good like the original was, with a few bells and whistles here and there. No pun intended, but it is definitely true, and I will show you guys this engine in operation at the end of this video. The next engine that I have here in my collection is the 2245 Texas Special, and this locomotive was made by Lionel around 1954 through 1955 only. Now, when it comes to the quality of this engine here, it's sort of in the middle, where it's almost just as good like the New York Central is, but it's not all the way up there like the 2243 Santa Fe is either. As we see here, we got the a couple imperfections here, including the cow catcher is a little rough. I gotta see if I could get that replaced. And I also want to see if I could replace the decal on the side of the shell here. Now, I actually did a small restoration on the Texas Special on my channel as well. So if you guys want to go check out that video too, I'll make sure to leave the link down below. So me and my dad purchased the 2245 at the Edison Greenberg show back in 2015. This engine was also a little on the pricey side, but me and my dad thought it was a fair deal nonetheless. So I actually bought the dummy unit first before I bought the A unit and the B unit. So here's the dummy unit here, and I just wanted to let everybody know that this isn't an official dummy unit that was made by Lionel. This is actually a custom made dummy unit to pretty much act as a companion piece to the A and B unit. But it looks pretty nice, and the original owner who had this did a very nice job. It uses a 2245 Texas Special shell, and it also has a 2333-20 Santa Fe dummy unit chassis to match up with the chassis on the A unit. So not only is the 2245 a good runner, but it also has some very nice little pieces of detail on the engine as well. If we turn the locomotive around, we can see that there's a very nice molded in plastic ladder on each side of the cab, just like on the 2344 New York Central. We also have the porthole plugs on the side, and we also do have some additional ladders on the trucks as well, just like on the earlier F3s. The grab irons have also been removed on the front of the cab, but we do have this very nice looking, attractive white star in the front. And I know you guys can't really see me doing this, but if you take a better look at the top of the shell, we do have the molded in plastic vents. And then as for the horns, they are the exact same horns that were used for the 2344 as well. So now that we covered all of the post-war F3 units that I have in my collection here, let's go ahead and jump on over to the MPC era production of Lionel F3s. So this here is a Pennsylvania F3 unit which was made by MPC Lionel during 1972 and 1973. The quality of this engine is somewhat similar to some of the earlier F3 units that Lionel made during the post-war era. However, the one notable change about this engine here is that the clear plastic that used to go in the front of the cab here has been changed to this plain old white plastic material for the windows. The illuminated number boards have also been changed to plain old clear plastic windows in the front. So when the F3s were re-released by Lionel during the MPC era, they had a little bit of a mixed reception from collectors, but that doesn't mean that you still get some very nice detail features on these engines. Over here we have the porthole plugs that have been reintroduced. This locomotive is also a single motored engine, just like the Texas Special and the Santa Fe are. Lionel also did a very nice job re-adding the grab irons on the front of the cab here. We also got the Pennsylvania Keystone in the front, as well as two gold stripes that are on the side. The shell on the locomotive also features two molded in plastic ladders on the side. Just like with Lionel's Pennsylvania GG1, the F3 that you see here also came in two color schemes. The one that I have in my collection here is the Brunswick green version, and then there was another model that was made in a Tuscan red version. One last thing to mention about this locomotive is that the horns on the top are basically the same horns that we used for the Lionel 2243 Santa Fe. Our last locomotive that we're going to be taking a look at today is this beautiful Southern Pacific Daylight locomotive, number 8262, which is the Southern Pacific. And these engines were introduced around 1982 by MPC Lionel. Now, interestingly enough, somebody told me on Instagram, or social media I should say, is that the Southern Pacific 4449 Daylight was supposed to be introduced that year, but they were having some delays with that engine, so Lionel basically put out the Southern Pacific F3 as a substitute, I guess you could say. Now, as of right now, I only have the A and the B unit by themselves, and I will explain why I have both of these two items in just a minute. But before we do, let's go ahead and take a better look at this engine here. So starting off at the front of the locomotive here, we can see that the grab irons are still intact. We also got this very cool Southern Pacific Daylight logo in the front, which I might need to get replaced at some point because this one's starting to peel off. We also see that the white plastic has been replaced with this very nice clear plastic cover for the windows here. If we turn the shell around, we can see that the ladder on the side of the door is molded in plastic. It's not like the ladder that's on the Pennsylvania 8952. This engine is also a single-motored locomotive. We also have the porthole plugs on the side. And here on the top, it's very interesting. Now, not only do we have the molded-in plastic vents on the top here, but what's interesting to point out about this particular engine is that the horns are actually facing the wrong way. On the other F3s, including the post-war F3 locomotives, the horn on the left side is supposed to be facing downwards, but the one on the left side on the Southern Pacific is facing upwards towards the front. And then the horn on the right side here, the horn is facing towards the back when it should be facing towards the front here. So that's a little interesting thing that I just noticed recently with this engine. So I know you guys are probably wondering by now, but why do I have the 8262 in my collection when I should have the 8263 and the 8262 together? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. Because when me and my dad went up to one of the Greenberg train shows back in 2015, we bought the locomotive and the B unit from this guy who was offering it for $150. But when we took it home and put it on the track, it wasn't making any noise. There was no E unit buzzing inside of the engine. And then I finally realized that me and my dad just wasted our money on the dummy unit and the B unit. So the original owner had no idea what they were talking about when it came to this engine. But even though we wasted our money on this engine, I did make some good use out of it. And thankfully, after a couple of years passed, I graduated high school and I was fortunate enough to buy a chassis and motor off of eBay for a very decent price. Now, like I said before, this is a single motored engine only that I converted this dummy unit to. So I guess you can kind of say this locomotive is now a modified freight set or a freight engine instead of a passenger train. But in case you guys know me very well here on YouTube, I'm more of a budget-friendly type of collector, and I'm not really the one that likes to complain about anything that I buy. So I hope you all have enjoyed this little review video that I put together for you guys. And don't forget, the new Lionel 2022 Volume 2 catalog is supposed to come out pretty soon, so make sure you guys keep an eye out for that review video that I'm currently working on. I'll also be making a part 2 video on the scale locomotives that I have in my collection as well, so make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. But until then, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and please don't forget to hit the notification bell down below. And please let me know in the comment section below on what other videos you guys would like for me to do on my channel here. But until next time, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all in my next episode. Thanks again, and take care.
Number 28, Pennsylvania Broadway Limited, for Crestline, Pittsburgh, Altoona, Harrisburg, Philadelphia, Newark, and New York. Sleeping cars only. Leaving on track number 3. Aboard!